Hi, everybody. Today we are here with I'm Jane Liebecker. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I am a certified coach using strengths. And also with us are,
Hi, I am Annetta Fields. I am in Maryland. I also am a certified coach utilizing Gallup Strengths. And we're so happy to speak with you today because we have a wonderful guest. And Shannon, introduce yourself.
Hi, y'all. I'm Shannon and I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Woo!
I love
Music City.
it.
Awesome. So we're just going to converse with Shannon about a wonderful strength that she has called achiever. And for those who may not know, achiever is someone who has stamina. They're satisfied with being busy and productive, but just as strengths are unique for each of us, we can use them in different ways. So let's talk to Shannon about how she uses her strength achiever. But before she gets into that, Shannon, tell us how you learned about Gallup strengths.
Well, I actually learned about them in January of 2019. My upline had that course with that book we used to do, the guide, the Unleash Your Strengths guide, and we went through that, and through that process I found Eddie and I started following him, and then he was like, hey, I'm starting this private membership and you can get grandfathered in to it. And so I did, and then he was like, and you have your spouse. So me and my spouse were like $300 for both of us for life. Sure. So we joined, and then it was like, okay, now what? And so I didn't do anything with it. And then in September of 2021, I ran into a good friend of mine that we had actually not spoken like to in a long time. We were Facebook friends, you meet, you hang out, we've seen each other at a retreat, and then you just become Facebook friends. And I ran into her, and she was in the certification program at the time, and she's like, oh, you got to learn about your strengths. And so she got me all excited about strengths, and actually our upline, and we had a special retreat with Eddie in Utah in November of 2021, and that rocked my world. It was a day and a half, and it rocked my world of like what strengths could do for you. And so from that point on, I dove more and more into strengths. And so that's kind of like I started in 19, but I really kind of didn't know the power of strengths until I had gone to that retreat in November of 2021. So that's kind of when I'm like, okay, I really learned what my strengths were and what strengths, how, the power of them.
Wow. We could see you're passionate about it too.
I am.
Shows. So tell us what we like to talk about dominant domains. So
Mhm.
tell us, what is your dominant domain, Shannon?
So my dominant domain is influencing. I like to move people forward first.
Mhm.
And then, depending on whether we have a relationship, I want to connect first and then make sure things are done the right way. If you're a stranger, I'm going to be frank, I'm going to move you forward first. And then, if you do what I think is quote unquote right, then we can connect. So I'm four influencing, three relationship, and three executing.
You got three of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. How about that? So
So
where does achiever fall in your top 10?
it is my anchor strength. That is strength number 5.
Tell us more about the anchor strength.
So your anchor strength to me, like I use it, it's like not your top. It is like the core of who you really are. And so everything kind of comes from that. And I totally see that with this strength of mine because I love to be busy. I love to be productive. I love my benchmarks. My husband laughs because I make lists. And then even if I did something, but it wasn't on the list, I write it on the list just to cross it off.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Yes.
So we know that achiever is number 5 out of your top 10, which we deal with the top 10. Usually we coach it. What's your number 1 strength?
Woo! Could you have guessed that? Right?
And woo means winning others over. That's
Yes.
what that stands for. Woo! Okay.
She's winning and she's moving.
I know. I got communication number 2. So you got the arms and the movement, you got it all.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about how you use your achiever strength?
Well, my achiever strength, like I said, is kind of my core. So for me, it's how I set my benchmarks. I set my goals based on that, and using my other strengths that are in there I figure out what is best, like what I can achieve in this time frame. And I make my list, because I have to have a list, so that I can then okay, mark it all off as we go. So that's, for me, it's like my big thing. I have my goal, and then what I need to do to get to that goal. And I have a ranger in my top 10 as well. So if I've already thought of the way that needs to go. And so I write my list accordingly, using that arranger strength, how I need to arrange the pieces. And then I cross it off as I go in that order. So it's fun to see how all the strengths kind of come together, you can't just say my achiever, because I use them all so much,
Absolutely.
But my achiever, you do see that in I don't like to be, I would rather, I want to get up, I want to work, I want to do all the things, but even playing, we went out and did things, I can have the fun as well, but it's because I've already achieved some things and not taking them off my list. So
how in particular does your woo, your number 1 strength, play with your achiever?
Oh, that's a great question. My woo, I love to win people over, and I love to just talk to a stranger. So I do make a goal to connect with people on a regular basis and a daily basis. And so there are times where it's 6:00 and I haven't connected with someone new, and I have to do that. My husband just says, go to the grocery store and walk around. It's 2 minutes, 3 minutes from us. And so I will just drive to the grocery store and just walk around to connect with people. And then I can come home and okay, connected with 3 people today. Check.
You cannot go to bed unless you've done that, then, right? You have to do that.
It's that achiever. It's automatically on my list. People are oh, I don't like follow up. I don't want to do all that. And I'm I love follow up because I get to connect with people, but I also need the new people. I have Relator up there too. So, but I need the new people. And so it's just even going to the grocery store to just say hi to someone I don't know.
That's awesome. So you've kind of given us an idea of what you like about it, right?
Yes.
You like connecting, but you got to have that list ready before you connect, because the connecting is related to the list and all of those things tied together, right?
Exactly.
Is there anything else that you would share in regards to what you like about your achiever?
I think it's just a get her done strength. I mean, I get things done. I want to finish them. My husband is in the Achiever 34 category, and it's challenging at times. So we've learned to make lists, and then I leave it, and he does so he can do it on his own time, but it's still written out in a list form. And then he'll come and be hey, I've got 3 things you can mark off. So I just think for me, I just love being able to get things done and feel that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big or small. It could be something so small, but if I get to check that off and mark it off, I am good. I am good to go. So
that's awesome.
So it's my get her done strength.
I love that. The get her done strength.
You just talked about relationships.
I want to use that. Yeah.
I love how you talked about, how learning your strengths impacts your relationships. You talked about communication. You talked about understanding your checklist and the fact that your husband doesn't have one, but you found a happy medium. Yes. He knows to check the list, and he does it on his own terms because you understand him.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. It's fun to see how they work differently. I have woo high. My daughter's only 10, but she definitely has woo, but she uses her woo a little differently than I do. you know, like her woo is not going out and standing on a stage. She doesn't want to be on a stage, but she is going to go talk to every single person in a stadium and say hi to every single person, where I'm like, okay, let me just get on the stage, put me up there. I want 50,000 people and hear me talk, you know, and that's not her woo. And so even like those, you know, different strengths. I mean, I know we're not talking about woo, we're talking about achiever, but even in your strengths, like just because my achiever says I need all these checklists and I need this, that doesn't mean that someone else who has high achiever is the same way, because all those strengths play into that. So
great point.
Yeah. Hey, Shannon, what
yes.
would you say to somebody who's on the fence about taking the assessment?
Take it. I had someone this week and they were like, I don't know. And I went, it's $60, whatever price it is at this moment. And it's worth knowing how you work and how the things that you do. Like I've had so many people when they get their strength report and we walk through it and we talk through it, they're like, that makes so much sense to me. Like that makes sense. And they were able to get the confidence in themselves that, hey, there's nothing wrong with them. Like they're uniquely made. And actually, I've had people go in and had conversations that are difficult that have said, no, guess what? This is my number 5 strength. And this is how I'm using it. And they're like, wow, that is how you deliberative, for example, you know, like, wow, I am using these strengths. And so I think taking the test gives you a confidence about yourself that you learn, and that you just learn so much about you. And so I encourage every person to go out there and take that test. Everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your insight, your transparency, your enlightenment, and the fact that there's nobody like Shannon. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes. Okay.